sort of shape is Wellington in, you reckon, Paul?
Well, I think it's pretty well documented that it's had a rough time due to a range of factors. Been a very, very tough time, but that's not across the whole region. For our business, which is property, Hutt Valley and Kororua, continuing to go from strength to strength.
So you're an outlier. You're spending money here. You're building something. You're creating something. You're investing in something. Why can that happen here and it's not happening in Wellington City?
Well, we've had an unusual confluence of events out here. We've had very, very supportive local authority. The council has been fantastic. We've got a local iwi who are providing a really strong leadership in the community, give us confidence to invest alongside them. There's not much to argue about, and the other thing is Kororua has this wonderful demographic.
The council's been fantastic.
Yep.
It's not a phrase you hear mentioned often in Wellington City.
No. In fact, I can't remember the last time I heard it.
So what's the difference?
I think if you were to peel away all the layers of the onion, you've got people out here who are concerned about community, and in town you've got people who are concerned about corridor. I don't think it's a lot more complicated than that. In Thornton Key, we've spent 20 years trying to build a community that will be, that is the predecessor to this. And to have a bunch of people come along and say corridor is more important than your community is actually devastating.
I mean, that's a case in point, isn't it?
It is the case in point.
I spent most of my childhood in Thornton Key working in the wool store.
I know, like so many other people. Well, you're a muscly guy.
That's right. But okay, again, is it just... I don't believe that people go in and either who are members of council or council officials don't necessarily go in to try and stuff up everyone's lives deliberately.
No, but they push agendas, and we've had our disgruntlement down there goes back to the start of Let's Get Wellington Moving. We had wonderful arrangements with Wellington City Council back in the time of Mayor Lester, etc., and before that with Mayor Prendergast, where we basically agreed on safety improvements, etc., on Thornton Key that were very, very effective. But then NZTA started offering local authorities money for local roading projects. But that changed the whole dynamic. Suddenly we had a situation where councils were desperate to spend money on cycleways because funding was available from central government.
So it didn't matter whether it was a good idea or not, the fact that here's the cash, you can spend it.
Yeah, so we designed, back before all that started, we designed at our own cost a laneway that would run along the back of the buildings in Thornton Key and would provide something that would be tourist attraction / would resolve all the safety issues. Mayor Lester was enthusiastic about it, but the difficulty was that it didn't involve the roadway and therefore couldn't attract NZTA funding. So they just got there.
So decisions are made not on whether they're the best decision, but on whether someone else is going to pay for them.
Well, exactly. So say for instance you have a choice between replacing a pipe, which you have to pay 100% of the cost of, and putting in a cycleway where you only pay 50% or 49% of the cost. Which project are you going to prefer?
Now, is it true also in Thornton that they've done all this work, but they're going to have to dig it up again for the pipes? Is that true?
Well, it is. I mean, it's inevitable that the pipes will have to be dug up. And Thornton Key is State Highway 1 for pipes. Wellington, the main transition main that comes from Upper Hutt down to the big new reservoir that runs down the middle of Thornton Key. That's 110 years old. All the sewerage lines, main sewerage from all the northern suburbs, run down directly underneath where most of the new roading infrastructure is, and that's 110 years old and is failing repeatedly.
Hey, look, I'm not an engineer, you know, I've got no idea about these things, but it seems, How does this happen? I mean, if you know that all this infrastructure has to be done, you should surely only dig a road up once, Kerry.
Well, exactly. So we had this mysterious case where Wellington Water sent two memos, one concerning Golden Mile and one concerning Thornton Key. They were both formatted exactly the same, and they were addressed to exactly the same people. The ones for Golden Mile were received and acted on, and the ones for Thornton Key were supposedly not received, or if they were received, everything was resolved, but there is no documentary evidence. It is a gaping hole in the whole consents process for that project.
What do we do about it?
I think we have to keep yelling and screaming until people take notice. So what is good about it is that the Fourth Estate have got a hold of the issue. They now understand the issues. The Third Estate, in the form of the Court of Appeal, has got a hold of it. They've agreed with the Thornton Key Association that the council processes were illegal. And the Second Estate, being Cabinet, is starting to get their head around it and have started to appoint observers, etc. So at some point, those Wellington City councillors who just blindly refuse to have this project reviewed or have any questions considered about it, they're going to have to wake up and confront it, or the consequences will be dire.
You're a businessman.
Yep.
You invest money.
Yep.
It doesn't grow on trees. I presume you want to hang on to it as much as possible. Has this cost you what's been happening in Wellington City?
Oh, the Wellington City thing. I mean, the building, the wool store we've done at Thornton Key, which you worked in.
My dad was the boss there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lovely part of Wellington's history. We invested shares at $1 20 years ago in that building, and those shares are worth about $1. 20 years later, we've strengthened the building, we've reduced its carbon footprint, we've invested in artworks throughout the building. But to be fair, I've got a cheque of something like $4,000 or $5,000 every month for the last 20 years. I couldn't be happy about that, but my $1 shares are still worth $1. So the short answer is that we're very happy about that as a family. It doesn't concern us, because we've got other things that make money and get us our daily bread. What we are pissed off about is spending 20 years building a community and having it wiped out by some just really, really poor decision.
And that's it. It's a level of decision making.
And it's not just a bunch of councillors who don't have good sense. It is actually a bunch of council officers who are obfuscating, avoiding, misinterpreting, and just overall, from day one, they've refused to consider that businesses along Thornton Key have any interest in their local project.
What needs to happen then?
The project needs an external review urgent. It needs somebody completely independent from Wellington City Council with the appropriate expertise to come along and look at the economics of the business case, which are increasingly looking flimsy. It's somebody to come along and look at what are the financial impacts on Thornton Key businesses, because I think they're huge, and property owners. I think that's increasingly looking like $100 million burden that business owners are carrying. And thirdly, somebody has to come clean about the pipes and say, because at the moment we've got three versions of events around those pipes there. Yes, we had a phone call with Wellington Water and we resolved all the issues to do with the pipes in Thornton Key. You don't need to worry about anything. Or secondly, yes, we got that memo, but the person who got it has left the organisation, so we don't know about it and we don't have to release it. And thirdly, yes, we've documented the whole thing, and it's just crazy.
You know what you need.
Yeah.
You know what you need, don't you?
Yeah.
More cones.
Well, thank you, Mark. You know,
I think just cones will solve it all, Paul. That's the thing. Bring on the cones.
yeah, so I'm just trying to think what should we cone though. Yeah, exactly. It's bewildering. And today, like today, we're assured that by Wellington City Council that they wouldn't do anything precipitous about coning off the wall score as we head into our Christmas trading period. We get up this morning, the building's coned off. And so I'm sitting here, I'm feeling grumpy about Donald Trump, I'm feeling grumpy about the door that doesn't work properly down here, and then somebody's gone and coned out the thing. I'm having grumpy time. Should be incredibly happy.
There we are. Your award.
The first prize.
The Wellington City Council Orange Cone Award. Inaugural recipient. Yeah. It's so look, is it all too late? I mean, I keep running into people saying, well, we're leaving, we're moving out of town, we're going to go somewhere. This is what worries me the most.
It's not too late. It's never too late. It's 50 years since the day I stepped off the Aramoana and went up to Weir House and just sat on the balcony there and thought, this is the most wonderful, exciting place in the world. And I've never really lost that.
Well, you weren't wrong there, though.
No,
you weren't wrong, you were quite right.
Wrong. But and so I haven't lost the love of Wellington, but we're deeply, deeply annoyed about a bunch of councillors who do not admit the problem. So if they admit there's a problem, I think we can start repairing it. But the big retailers, they'll be fine around Wellington, they will all come back. Briscoe's will be fine, the warehouse will be fine, etc. But that person who's got the boutique store down in Dixon Street, they're bugger. And that takes a generation to come in. That's a 20-year, 30-year issue. I think. I don't know, other people will have a different view, but it's certainly taken me 20 years to build something that is reasonably small and significant. It'll take a long time and a lot of people to do that. I just think we have this lovely view of Wellington, which is a view of the small businesses, something vibrant.
Yeah. Great. All right.
You can't beat Wellington on a good day or even a bad day too. You can't beat Wellington, it's a cliche, but nonetheless it's true.